Hi, this is Mike J. Welcome to my channel. Today what we want to talk about is about Fiat as a company. As you know, Fiat has been here in the United States since 2012 with the introduction of their 500. And then soon to follow was the Fiat 500 Abarth, which is pronounced Abarth, but it sounds more natural saying Abarth. But anyways, Fiat, when its first year introduction in the US, actually had quite a bit of record-breaking sales. And when they brought out the Abarth, those things sold like hotcakes. In fact, those Abarths were selling for a sticker, and sometimes dealerships were actually marking those up a few $1,000s. And what had happened is over the last 2 years, Fiat has really suffered from sales. And I think what happened is that the car is still way too small, and even though that they did bring out the 500L, which is a bigger car, and then last year they brought out the 500X, which is actually more of a modern day Fiat. But anyways, as FCA puts it, that they are lacking quality in the Fiat brand. And I think that probably the Mopar, the FCA, Chrysler, Dodge, all the above, have suffered some problems, and it just seems like the Fiats have really taken that to heart as far as having a lot of issues. And I do get into a lot of these forums with Fiat, and a lot of owners complain about their 500s or their 500 Abarths having multiple problems, and a lot of problems that they had are reoccurring issues. And quite frankly, I've owned 2 of these Abarths. I had a 2015, and this one you see here is a 2016. Both are automatics. I wanted an automatic, so I bought actually the first year in 2015 one of the Abarths that were automatics. And both of the cars I've had for about a year and a half. This one's a year and a half. The other one I had for a year and a half, and I really had no issues with these cars. And a lot of people have also complained that they burn a lot of oil. Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't had any oil consumption in this car or the other one, and I drive it like I drive my Mustang GT. And the sad thing is that the value on these Abarths, or Fiat in general, are just not very good. Those of you that watch my channel and know that right now I am considering about trading in the Fiat 500 Abarth for either another Mustang, I also own a Mustang, or a Chevy Camaro SS. And yeah, I do have, a 16 Mustang, and the new one is supposed to be much quicker, but I just can't really justify in having 2 Mustangs. And I've always loved the Camaro SS's, and I know that it probably is a little bit slower than the new Mustang, but those are really, Ford's number, and it's really about choice. And I just think that I'd rather have 2 cars instead of two of the same cars. But back to the Fiats, they don't hold their resale very well. In fact, I've had my car appraised at multiple car dealerships, and they're ranging anywhere from $10,000 to $11,000. This is what they want to give me for my Fiat 500 Abarth. My car is a year and a half old with almost 27,000 miles on it. Yes, I do have a cracked windshield, and those Fiat windshields are expensive. They're $600 from Fiat, but you can get a comparable replacement for about $350 to $400. But anyways, I paid $20,000 for this car. The MSRP was $25,000. I've got $5,000 knocked off this car, so $20,000 is a great deal. Where can you find a car that makes this kind of racket and noise for $20,000? And the sad thing is, I've driven this car for a year and a half with 27,000 miles, and I've lost half of its value. So it's one of those things that, you Fiat buyers that are potentially looking for an Abarth, possibly buying used could be a good idea. I've seen some 2015s with a lot less miles than I have on mine, and they're only selling for like 12,000, 13,000 at most. These cars are not moving on the lot. They never did move as they were new, and the used market is just really, really soft on these cars. But I will tell you what, is probably one of the best cars I've owned for around the $20,000 mark. And I think Fiat is kind of like having problems. I believe last year I read somewhere on the internet that in the North America, which is basically, you know, the United States, they moved under 20,000 units, and that's really bad. You know, a lot of the dealerships are only averaging 3 new Fiat sales a month, and if you put that into perspective, you know, I used to work in car sales, and I sold Kias. My latest job was that I sold Kias. And I sold 2 Kias in one day to the same family. So when a Fiat dealership is only selling 3 brand new cars, you know, that's really bad. And, you know, where you make your money is off the used cars, of course, I get that. But when you're carrying a franchise like Fiat, you know, 3 cars on average is really, really bad. And here in Phoenix, Arizona, in the Phoenix metro area, there had been 2 Fiat dealerships, showrooms that have closed down within the last 6 months. And the place that I bought 2 of my Fiats from is in West Phoenix, and they went out of business. And so now I've got to either go to North Scottsdale, which is about 30 miles away if I need service, or I go to Tempe, which is probably the same distance. But the problem is, you know, their service, their dealership network has never been all that great. You try to make an appointment even for an oil change, it could take a week. That's the biggest complaint I have, is the dealership network. And the dealership that I bought this from, you know, they had one technician, just one technician to service all the Fiats. And the technician is also the one that does all the oil changes as well. So it's one of those things where, you know, the dealership networks isn't all that great. So it's one thing to consider when buying any kind of a car, is the serviceability dealership network, on how you can get the car serviced and what's convenient for you. And I would hate to really see Fiat go as a brand in the United States, but they seem to do really well in Europe, in, you know, other countries where this car is global. And you got to remember that the 500 has been around since rebirthed in 2009 in Europe. But anyways, I think right now is the time to trade this car in before it loses any more value. And I'm afraid that if more Fiat dealerships do close up, that it is going to greatly affect the resale value on these cars. Not that it already hasn't been affected as Fiat as a brand, but I think the situation is going to get worse. And I think at the milestone right now where there's almost 30,000 miles on this car, and it's probably time to start looking for something else as far as investment goes. But buying cars is never a good investment to begin with. So anyways, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, comments, and hit the notification bell for future car videos. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.